Hello there, it's Paul here and welcome everyone. So this video I'm doing Christmas tree ornaments, but as a Christmas cracker. It's a quick, simple, easy project. Do something plain like that. You can always do something with a Sharpie to give it a little bit of colour. Use some stains to colour them as you like, or alternatively use something like iridescent paints to do something a little bit different. I'll cover through all my process of how I create these, as well as how I decide to mount them so that they're ready to go on the tree. This is an almost finished Christmas cracker decoration that I'm making for a tree, and all I've done is I've just used some, as you can see, some offcuts of branches there that I've got left over. So it's always worthwhile keeping the little trimmings where you can even turn out these blocks of about 25mm square. They're just about 60mm long, so you'll see that I will take off slight bit at each end. So I've just used my pin jaws at the moment to hold it in. You can use any chuck you like, that you can just hold it square. And the idea is I'm just going to face off the end here, just going to use the screws. Then going to use a 13mm drill bit. I don't use a brad point because what I want is when it goes into the bottom there, I just want it to go into that sort of like more or less a point or a curve. Round off the end a bit. And then use the knife cut to have a nice clean surface and just create a pilot hole for where the drill bit is going to go in. Slow the speed down on the lathe. I want to drill 10mm in from where this widest part starts, so it's actually about 5mm from there to the point. So overall, then at least the length of the straight bit inside is going to be 10mm, and then it's going to curve down inside. So overall, that's for this drill bit is about 15mm. So I can start off there. So I've now just hit that curve, which is about 5mm in. And just to make sure the inside is fairly smooth, I'm just using an old piece of 400 grit paper here, just in case there's any rough bits in there. Just to smoothen that off. And that is literally all the preparation. As you can see, got nice holes at each end, got a nice flat surface. This one could have probably done it a little bit more, but it's not so bad because this is still going to disappear when I take it down. And the idea is now just to turn this down so the wall on this end, on both the ends, is down to about 1 to 2mm thick. So it's a bit like pen turning now, just between centres. So if you haven't got a drive centre, then I would certainly suggest getting one, because it's so useful for doing things like this. Try not to put too much pressure on, just want enough pressure to hold the work, and I might just have to tighten up a little bit as I go along. All the rest now is just done with a screw. So the first thing I want to do is just turn this down into a cylinder and then get the walls to roughly that thickness. And unlike with pens where you normally go to bushings, you just got to visualize at each end to how thick you've gone. So I've now got my blank down to the required size, and good thing about using the screw, this is going to need very little sanding. I know based on the depth of my drill hole I need to do my cuts now at about 18mm from each end, so just with the lathe spinning, going to put a mark That's 18mm, which means that I will be well away from where the hole goes down to a point. Again, just using the skew. And that's the shape done as quickly as that. Now I'm going to just show you how I do this one with the decoration, with the burn line. You can use a piece of wire, anything that's going to create a bit of friction. I've got a piece of melamine here that I honestly don't know where I got them from, but it just does work so well. And just to make sure it doesn't wander off everywhere, these walls are obviously fairly thin, so I don't want to go too deep on them. I'm just going to use the point of the skew just to put a small groove on there. Then even though this is a lot thicker, I can put it in at a slight angle to then pick up on that line. Keep it in place until I get the burn mark. And it's simple as that. And because I've used the skew, even with the lathe running at fairly high speed, just use an old bit of 400 grit paper. And that is just about finished. And what you might find is as well is that you start getting like black marks on the inside from your drive centre and your live centre. Again, just roll up the paper a bit, run around to the inside there. What I'm going to do next is I want to try a couple with colour, and so I'll just turn these down to the shape first of all and get to come back to the point of where I'm going to colour them. So the first option I'm going to look at is with the Sharpies. Now, I used these on a recent video when I did some bottle openers, so I'm just going to use the red and blue to start with. So just for the lathe spinning. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use black on there as well, just to sort of give them a border. And I've got to say that black has come up really nicely. In actual fact, has come up really nice, and that's ready to be finished off with a finish. So I'm going to use my chestnut spirit stains on here, and I've used in a lot of previous videos, got the wood colours. If you want to take this off to a different colour wood, or I've got their main colour ones, so don't really want to use probably the black. So again, probably a bit like the other one, might use the red and blue just to see what it comes out like. So I'm going to try this with the lathe spinning again. That just needs to dry off now, and that will be ready for a finish as well. Turned a few more of these after I did those last ones. I've also dug out the first iridescent paints that I ever bought, and so these are like a mixture in there, so you get a blue and a green mixed with that depending on how it sort of like looks against the light. That one's an orange and yellow, and that one's a red and blue, so I'm going to use some of these. But iridescent paints like these work better if you're on a dark piece of wood. So this is sort of like still fairly light. So what I'm planning to do, especially since it's oak, is to use my Iridescent solution. Where you've got wood levels with high tanning levels in them, like especially like oak, as you can see, as soon as it applies, it turns it almost to black. Now the higher the tannin level in the wood as to how much it will react. So I'm actually going to stick my lathe on slow. I knocked this back with the 400 grit paper, gave it a second coat of the Iridescent solution, and then just knocked that back with a knife web. First one I'm going to try is this one, which is a mix of red and blue. This is the blue and green. And I'll just let that one dry off. All these plain ones, which the most that I've had done to them is a burn mark, I'm just going to apply sanding sealer by hand. The other ones which have been coloured or painted, I will apply sanding sealer, but it will be via a spray can, and it's just quicker probably just to put these on the lathe like this. So I can get the sanding sealer in there. And I will also drop some sanding sealer in the ends. These coloured ones, as I said, I'm going to use a spray sanding sealer. Just means there's a lot less chance of these running. If I apply them by hand, there's a good chance that all the colours will run. Before I put a finish on, I need to be able to hang these, because then I can just give them a proper coat of spray lacquer. I'm just going to be using these little small eye hooks. I want to place these so that they're off centre, so towards one end, because the idea is then one end will be a lot heavier, so that when they hang on the tree, they'll actually hang at an angle. Just going to mark where I want the hole, and I'm just using a live centre. And hopefully you can see there, that's how it will hang then. Got all the eye hooks on these now, so they're now ready to have their final finish. I'm just going to use a clear gloss spray lacquer. These are all now finished off, and they've been stood here for probably about an hour, and certainly dry to the touch. And I've got to say, really pleased the way these have come out. The ones that I'm really surprised about are the ones with the Sharpie on. With the black line that outlines them, I just think it really highlights the colours off. It's nice to have the natural wood ones. Everybody's going to have different tastes. Even something with just the burn mark on the end there as well. Again, it just adds a little bit extra to it. Not so sure on the actual coloured ones. It's really hard to do just sort of like partial colouring on something so small as this. I think if I'd have probably used, say, maybe a paintbrush to apply the colour or something like that, then I might have well got something that looks a little bit better. Finally, with the iridescent paints, really pleased the way they've come out. Ebonizing the oak to start with, I think really does help bring out all that colouring on there. If you don't use the skew very much, this is the project to use the skew on. It's great practice, straightforward, just getting it down to size and then cutting those V-cuts out. Hopefully it's given you a bit of an idea of something extra to make. Makes great little things for your own Christmas tree, for relatives or gifts. Thanks a lot for watching.